Speaking of really interesting, my good friend Mike Futa is joining us, former assistant GM of the LA Kings. And man, Futes, like this off season, I know it's like shrink and like just everything is jammed in, but it seems like everywhere you turn, there's something new happening.
It's been unbelievable, and I guess being on the media side of things, it's awesome. I mean, Lester Elliott probably is trying to get away, and there's something happening every day when he's trying to enjoy vacation. But
just leave me alone for a minute.
Yeah, he's got to be still tweeting out. I know he's up north, but it's unbelievable how much activity there's been, how much huge money's been thrown around, and how many big names have changed squads. But it's fun. It makes you eager. And then you look, I think rookie camps started almost a month today. So those people that just feel like you just watched the Tampa Bay Lightning carting the cup around the ice, we're getting ready to open up shop again. And hopefully there's a lot more fans in the stands to watch it.
Yeah. Yes. Hold on. Let me get. Agreed. So we just put up a bunch of notable contracts. NHL free agency opened at the end of July. We were on hiatus. What's the one deal, Mike, that you loved for the team? Like, who do you think got away with a great deal?
Well, I love that. I know it's not going to sound. I love Zach Hyman's game, and I think that's the type of player the Edmonton Oilers need. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at the term a player like that. Again, I just hope that he can remain healthy with the way he plays, because he doesn't take any nights off. And the one that jumps out at me, it's not really probably. I'm a little concerned about the Dougie Hamilton trade, and it's not that Dougie Hamilton's not a outstanding defenseman, but for me, there's a perfect fit for certain players, and there's a comfort level with the way they play. And I just felt he was such a good fit after being traded a couple of times to go to Carolina and have players like, Pesci and really solid defensive players that you can pair up with to kind of mask some of his defensive deficiencies. No doubt he can blow a game open with his offense, but I just don't see the fit with a partner yet with New Jersey. And that's a lot of money. And if all of a sudden the pressure's on and you're not performing, some people, their personality seems to be a little bit different. And I thought he was very comfortable as a person in Carolina, and sometimes that translates into how well you play on the ice as well.
I couldn't. We should call it the Mark Mathot syndrome, like where Erik Karlsson plays with a guy there and goes, I don't know how valuable he is, and then when he goes away, you see that give and take between defense partners can be a lot more problematic, or you can see a lot more differences in a guy's game when he's not paired with someone he's really comfortable with.
Absolutely, Tim, especially when your history and as well as your character and your personality is somebody that you're not the same player unless you're happy in your surroundings. So that's an awful lot of money to be tied in. And for his good and for the good of New Jersey Devils, I hope he blends in well and they find him a partner to play with. But when you look at the PK Subbans of the world and guys that, they spend as much time, offensemen, I just don't see the match of that safety valve that they have. And Ty Jones could be a great player for them too, or Ty Smith. I don't see that fit yet for him as a partner that's going to kind of cover up some of the blemishes defensively.
Understood. It's funny. You and I sat in this very studio during the playoffs, looked at the Montreal Canadiens defense corps, looked at the Tampa Bay Lightning's defense corps, and thought, well, now we know what the copycat league is going to do in the offseason, and some big deals, Roman Josi, Hamilton, Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, Darnell Nurse. Is this part and parcel to what we saw in the postseason? Do you think there was a little bit of an overpay on some of these defensemen? What was your general thoughts on the big money thrown at a couple of defensemen?
Well, obviously everybody realizes it doesn't hurt when you've got Vasilevsky in that as well, but these teams were just so deep on the blue line. Yeah, or Carey Price, exactly. And I see, you look at a team like the Kraken that's clearly gone, as Ron Francis did in Carolina, gone defense heavy. But Seth Jones, I guess now the big thing is some of these guys are leaving markets that aren't as large, and there's a lot more pressure to perform when you go from a Columbus to a Chicago. So there's got to be a lot of guys that got to live up to their tickets. And you see players like Hedman in Tampa Bay that continually lives up to it. And it's going to be up to these guys. You got your payday. I'm a little shocked with what Ceci got in Edmonton as Kenny Holland looked to shore up his blue line, and he did a wonderful job. But I think some guys going to be pretty happy with cashing their new paychecks with what they signed for. And lots of term, and now lots of expectations to live up to.
All right, so Seth Jones joins Marc-Andre Fleury in Chicago. Like, what is that? Are the Blackhawks contenders?
I don't see it yet. I think they're getting there. I mean, there's another team that when you've got players like Patrick Kane, and I don't know the health status of their captain. I mean, Jonathan Toews. I mean, I think it's a huge thing for somebody to be able to like get Fleury, who just won the Vezina. Now you've got some new defensemen back, some younger defensemen that are going to need some support. So you've got a notable number one behind you. But again, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of that division. Patrick Kane keeps you alive, and they've got a nice 7th-round pick that the Los Angeles Kings gave up on, and Dominic Kubelik, who seems to score about 30 a year too. So they've got some nice pieces, but again, they're going to be one of those teams that I think is just going to be on the cusp of that playoff spot. And I guess if Fleury gets hot, he can push him over the finish line.
Not bad for a 7th-rounder. Speaking of, from the 7th round, we go to 2nd overall. A lot of people looking at Jack Eichel's future. But there seems to be this almost, I don't even want to, is that foregone conclusion that he ends up with the Rangers when all is said and done?
I think that's the one thing when Kevin Adams talks about it, I mean, I don't get for 1 second that he's comfortable about the situation, but I do believe that he holds all the cards, and that probably because that's where Eichel's made it quite clear he wants to be. That's the last place in the world that Buffalo wants to trade him, especially, the New York situation. Even the proximity just doesn't make any sense. I think Jack Eichel is still one of maybe 5 or 6 players that are absolutely they're just phenomenal. Their entire franchise is based on it. The asking price is probably going to have come down. There's no chance do I see any kind of honeymoon back where they call Jack at the end of the month and say, come on back, we love you in Buffalo. The ship sailed there. I still don't know where he is health-wise. Teams that are trying to trade for him, whether he still needs the surgery now as we get closer to the season. Certainly not the time you want players to be having surgery when training camp's basically just around the corner. So there's a lot of floating pieces there. I think there's some quiet teams. I know Anaheim's very much involved in the hunt. And it wouldn't surprise me to see even a team like the Calgary Flames look at a situation like that where they're still trying to change their chemistry, change their mix. And Buffalo's going to have to make a decision here shortly.
Very interesting. One of the things that I think we could spend a lot of time talking about, I think we could spend an entire show talking about the Olympics in Beijing, China in about 6 months' time and what the hell that looks like. But will the NHLers be there, do you think, in February?
I think they will. I hope for the game itself, they are there. There's nothing quite like the memories. I mean, when you see, just watching what our Olympic women did in soccer and the pride of the country when you get to put your best forward, and just even the water cooler chat about who's going to be on a team such as that. I hope they find a way to do it. I love the fact that they already named a coaching staff, which usually when things like that are happening, you start a pretty positive vibe about where things are going to end up. And I just think for hockey fans in the country in general, it's something you just never have to skip out on. And when it's the best of the best, I think for viewers and for everybody, players involved, you talk about the Triple Crown, these guys that win a world championship or win a world junior gold, win a Stanley Cup, and then get a chance to win an Olympic gold medal. It's quite a feat for anybody to do. And again, I just to even think about looking at Connor McDavid, playing on a line with Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon just gets my hockey juices flowing.
Without a doubt. Mike, always great catching up with you. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Tim. Say hi to Jesse.
I will.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, bud.
There is Mike Futa from his home in the Greater Toronto area.